Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Committee of Adjustments for the town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury on this November 5th, 2025. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 6:32 p.m. We'll start with the adoption of the agenda. I would like the recommendation that the committee agenda dated November 5th, 2025 be adopted as circulated. Do I have a mover? Gavin, and a seconder? Stephanie, all in favor?
Yes.
And there's Fahim. Perfect. Declaration of pecuniary interest of the general nature. Does anybody need to, at this point, or they're welcome later in the meeting, to declare pecuniary interest? Do I have anybody with any issues? Nope. Perfect. Excellent. The adoption of the minutes. The recommendation that the committee agenda dated September 24th, 2025 be adopted as circulated. Do I have a mover? Stephanie, and a seconder, Gavin, all in favor?
Yes.
Not perfect. Thank you. Correspondence. Yusuf, do we have any correspondence related to this agenda?
Hi, Mr. Chair. There is no additional correspondence this evening, Mr. Chair.
Perfect. Thank you. We'll move over to the order of business, 6.1 on the agenda, the introduction and purpose of our meeting. This meeting is a statutory public hearing held pursuant to the Planning Act to consider applications requesting consent or variances from the provisions of the municipality's zoning bylaws. As per the Planning Act, the hearing of every application shall be held in public, and the committee shall hear the applicant and every other person who desires to be heard in favor of or against the application. Written notice of tonight's hearing was provided to the applicant, prescribed agencies, and adjacent property owners in accordance with the requirements of the Planning Act and applicable regulations. Signage was also provided on the subject properties. The explanation 6.2 of our meeting procedures. 1. Applicant's presentation. The applicant or representative will be invited by the committee to provide details of the proposed application and its merits. 2. Application correspondence. The chair will invite the secretary-treasurer to present any correspondence received for the application being considered. 3. Member participation. The members of the committee will be invited to address the applicant and ask questions relevant to the application. 4. Public participation. The public will be invited to address the committee to provide comments, to support, or in opposition of the application. And 5. Further action. Following the question period, the committee may then make a decision regarding the application to defer consideration of the application, reserve its decision, or adjourn the meeting. Should the committee make a decision approving or refusing the application, the secretary-treasurer shall issue written notice of decision subject to the requirements of the Planning Act. Upon issuance of the decision, a 20-day appeal period is initiated during which the applicant, the ministry, or a specified person or public body that has no interest in the matter may appeal the decision of the Committee of Adjustment to the Ontario Land Tribunal. 7. Our business. 7.1 Minor Variance Application COA 2025-17. The minor variance application is D13-25-14. The owner is Sandstorm Development Inc. and the agent from First Gulf is Andrew Scrow. And the location is vacant property behind Food Basics. The applicant is seeking relief from zoning bylaw 2010-050 as amended, respecting the minimum outdoor amenity space per child for a day nursery and the maximum number of drive-through facilities requirements in the neighborhood commercial 2 exemption C2-1 zone to support 2 proposed commercial buildings. So at this moment, I'd like to invite Andrew to make a presentation on the application.
Good evening, committee. Really do appreciate taking the time tonight. And I do just want to acknowledge again, thank you, given the previous meeting, kind of technical difficulties, for taking the time to meet now, and as well to Alan, Yubing, and Yusuf for putting it together. So we'll jump right into it. Just bear with me for 1 second here. Okay. Can everyone see my screen? Yeah, so as noted, again, as everyone, thank you. My name is Andrew Scrow. I am Director of Development with First Gulf. Tonight, really just want to take a moment to really walk you through the proposal and obviously what we're seeking relief from, and give you just kind of a bit of an overview as to what we're looking to do here. So just very quickly, we'll introduce who obviously, who we are, the relationship with the site, go through the site itself, as well as what we are proposing, and touch on the requested variances as well, and any questions should there be any. So for those who don't know First Golf, we are a commercial real estate developer, constructor, and property manager. We really focus on retail, industrial, and office. And our relationship with the site is we are the subsidiary of the Great Golf Group. Great Golf, who's building the subdivision to the north and has continued to build the subdivision to the north, and who continues to own the site as well. We do the commercial side of their residential work. Both of us, both groups, I should say, have a long involvement in history within Bradford. We look forward to, with this next kind of step, really, I'll say, filling in the last gap on the retail side of things and bringing a bit more expanded services and offerings to the community. So the site you'll see, this being the Shop Summerlin, you'll see the site indicated here in red, is really the last, I'll say, vacant parcel to fill out the retail site. As of right now, the site has about 114,000 square foot of existing retail. And within this proposed plan, we have a daycare and a quick service retail, QSR, a drive-through, that is being proposed. And again, we'll walk through a bit more detail next slide. But really what we have tried to do with the proposal is highlight that this is really a natural extension of the retail center. As you can see, it's obviously playing off of or designed around existing entrances. It's obviously internal to the site. It is really, again, the kind of last vestige of developable land in this retail center. So let me go right here. So conceptually, what we're looking to do is two buildings here. One being building E that you'll see on the left side of your screen of the site plan, and building D, which has the drive-through that loops around the back. Both buildings totaled about 15,700 square feet. Building E is proposed to include a daycare, and building E will be the first building that is built. So phase one effectively. As I mentioned, the site is really designed to fit within the existing road network. Might sound a bit trite, but really it's given kind of the, I'll say, constrained nature of the site, as well as the defined boundaries of the property. There really is, kind of so much that can be done. And so this is what we're really, really focused on. There is a surplus of parking provided. The parking will obviously also use, or I'll say, benefit from the existing parking that is provided on site, but there is parking provided on this parcel itself. But a key component for the committee to know is that the final design of the both buildings is to be determined through a future site plan application. There is a holding provision on the property which requires us to come through with the site plan. So there is a mechanism that obviously we will have to engage with staff and go through kind of finalization of the plan and any other further details that need to happen. So while we are seeking variances to give us, I'll say, the foundation for which we can go forward with this plan, the final steps and final details, so to speak, will be determined with staff. So in terms of the two requested variances, one is the I'll say the outdoor daycare amenity space, and the other being the drive-through. I'll start with the outdoor amenity space. Effectively, what we are requesting is the language you see there: 5.6 square meters for each child based on licensed capacity or such lesser ratio, just otherwise approved by the province. In effect, this really doesn't have, I'll say, much, doesn't really change much, in the sense that it is to provide flexibility such that if the provider, the daycare provider or has an agreement or manages to get relief from the 5.6 square meters, which is required under provincial regulations, it allows basically that to happen as opposed to then having to come back at a later date to amend the town's language. But ultimately the province is the regulator and will be the one that ultimately approves the daycare, and the daycare will not be operated outside of any provincial regulations. This is really just to address, I'll say, the municipal regulations, how the municipality has the bylaw written, but it goes without saying that the daycare will meet and be required and is tied to all provincial regulations. On the additional drive-through facility, currently there are three on the site. One being Harvey's, which is on the west side, and then to the south of the subject site. I can maybe just very quickly here. So you can see here. So this is Harvey's here. This is TD here, and this is Pharma Plus over here. And as you'll see here, this is the highlighted pink area of the proposed drive-through. So I believe that the intent of the bylaw is not necessarily to prohibit additional drive-throughs, but rather to ensure that staff have the ability to confirm and to check and review how the drive-through will work. And so that is kind of why we're here today. Again, as I mentioned, we'll need to do a site plan to confirm all those finer details, but this kind of provides that bit of that mechanism to ensure the proper oversight. But what is key to know is that the drive-through, the proposed drive-through, that is spatially separated from the other drive-throughs, particularly the other food-based drive-through. It's geographically very separated. It has access on all three fronts. It doesn't necessarily need to interact with any of the other drive-throughs. Provides direct access out to Summerlin Trail. With the entrance being here, we try to keep as much traffic kind of contained within this area as opposed to any interactions with the daycare, and out to Summerlin and or out to Langford using this main driveway here. But that being said, we don't have, as I said, the drive-through will be phase 2. We don't have a user for that, so it is designed, I'll say, so to speak, to the worst case scenario, being what kind of your Tim Hortons and things like that. Not to say that given their proximity, that is unlikely to go here, but in light of not having a tenant, it is what is kind of designed for. Really, that's kind of it from my end. I anticipate there'll be some questions, so I figured I'll maybe open the floor. I didn't want to take too much time, but yeah, thank you once again, and look forward to any questions.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to ask Yusuf, is there any correspondence regarding this application?
Hi, Mr. Chair. There is no additional correspondence from any public emails, public comments regarding this application.
Excellent. Okay, I'll open it up for member participation. Does anybody have any questions for Andrew? Stephanie.
Andrew, for one, can you pull back up that map so that we can all see, please? Okay, so I know this parking lot really well. It's already very difficult to drive around in it. Where your 16 spaces are, where that's a medical clinic as well too, an x-ray clinic in there, and people are already going in and out of that place fighting for spots all of the time, because they do the x-rays, the ultrasounds and everything. It's a very, very high impact. You very seldomly get the spaces there, and I see that you're going to be creating another 41 spaces. Is that right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so 41 spaces there. Now, is it up to, so you're saying that this final site plan approval would have to go through the town of Bradford staff and then council, right? For considerations in regards to traffic mitigation and lighting and all of that kind of stuff. Yes?
It would have to go through staff, not through council as it is a site plan, but yes, it would have to go through staff.
So it just goes through staff, it doesn't get brought to council for final
No,
approval?
no, it does
Yeah.
not. And staff can advise on that, but no.
Okay. My concern is, like, what insurances do we have to make sure that, I guess, I can go to staff for this. Like, what traffic patterns have you identified on this site,
Mhm.
first and foremost?
So are you referring to the existing site or how the new site will interact with
How the new
the?
site will impact the current
Yeah.
traffic?
So as of right now, so again, a lot of that, or say the final work will be part of that site plan. But what we have identified is primarily, so there's kind of twofold. Given that I'll say the drive-through being one of the main generators, um, primarily you're going to see a lot of people coming in through Summerlin, going through Building D, or sorry, going into the drive-through and coming out through Summerlin Trail, or in a lesser scenario, coming out and going through Langford. Now, what I will say is, to your point about the medical facility over here, um, the I'll say for Building E as an example, was twofold. One, the parking will need to be built before Building D is built. So what I mean by that is all the parking that you see here will be built alongside Building E.
Yeah, okay.
And so in advance of Building D. In terms of I'll say some of the relationships, given that this is a daycare, you'll obviously have points in the morning with drop off and being early in the morning. Again, ideally you're seeing less interaction with the medical facility, being that hopefully that it is earlier, kids are being dropped off, and thus in the evening you'll see another kind of spike as kids are picked up. So the reason for that, I think potentially that we will see a benefit here, is that in those, I'll say, daytime hours where maybe there are more medical appointments happening, there is going to be some immediately additional parking spaces close to the medical facility that can be used, that aren't going to necessarily be used during the day between pickups.
Yeah, no, okay, I appreciate that. My other question is, there's already a daycare on this site
Mhm.
on the, yeah, so you're gonna have two drop-offs and pickups in between a fast food restaurant, drive-through. You also have banks that people typically hit at like rush hour times, Rexalls, people picking up their medication and whatnot. My concern is realistically like this, especially because like that one through street, like the way that you are able to exit this specific quadrant, if you want to make a left-hand turn, you have to go past you got to go out the exit that's near Rexall. You can't go out that top exit because there's a median blocking it if you want to make a left-hand turn to go into Summerlin. So traffic
Mhm.
has to go in front of those buildings in order to exit out that one little throughway street, which is very dark and very tricky to get out, unless you're making the right-hand turn. If you're making the right-hand turn out, yeah, thank you.
So let me hold on. I'm gonna just bear with me 1 second here, just so I know it's. So there is no median on this
Oh, I thought
entrance
there was a
here.
medium there. Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
no,
Yeah,
never mind.
I think it's further down
the
here.
medium is on the further one, yeah.
The
Yeah,
medium, yeah, okay, so the medium's the start. Okay, so they have to enter out there. Okay, yeah, no,
yeah,
that's, I just wanted to make sure. Thank you for pulling that up so quickly.
no worries.
Um,
Um, if you
okay,
don't
yeah.
mind, I will also say, just on your certain drop, but just I wanted to, just before I forget, in terms of the daycare, this is actually expansion of this existing daycare.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
So
shiny
they are
faces.
taking additional space. So to your point about being more space, more pickups, absolutely. But there is
Mm-hmm.
also, I'll say, an element of coordination, just because it is going to be the same
Mm-hmm.
operator, so to speak.
I'll be frank. I'm very okay with the daycare, and I
Yeah.
would be okay with there if there was. I just don't like. I don't like the drive-through idea, but again, that's just my own opinion. I'm just concerned that and it's not up for me to make the decision if I don't like it or not. I just wish that, this is going to potentially shape this quadrant here. It's going to potentially really affect the residents that live behind it as well. And for anybody who uses or banks at TD or uses Rexall or anything. And I wish that site plan was going to be brought back to council for them to make decisions in regards to safety measures and lighting options and all of that kind of stuff. Because right now, like, we don't have a say in that. We approve this, and you can go ahead and keep it a very unlit. I even like provisions in regards to like knowing the maintenance of like when the garbages are going to be maintained, like everything, because we've seen a lot of these sites, and I'm not going to name plazas, but there's certain plazas in this town that, because these agreements weren't in place prior, they're not being maintained the way of the standard that they should be, and it's affecting the residents. Counselors are getting called in regards to garbage, plowing, debris, everything, right? So I look at this, I see what you're trying to put in on a very small space, and I appreciate that you're not asking for any variance on regards to like how much parking that you're putting in, but I'm very concerned with approving this application tonight, and I'm just gonna, those are my final comments on the matter.
No, and I do appreciate it. In term, 100%. And in terms of I'll say the bank and Rexall, you're right in that. Like I think basically, in essence, given the separation with the two, I'll say between the bank and between the Rexall and Farm Plus, what ideally, obviously, the bank is well used, but it's it's not it's not at the same quantity. I'll say at Tim Hortons or whatnot, because I would agree with you in that if you had another, I'll say, big food user on this side, like we have the Harveys over here, but they've got a full access out to a signalized intersection. They've got the ability to go over
Correct.
here on the Langford. So while they're there, I think there is, I'll say, separation, that you're not going to get a ton of overlap. Moving to the west of, I'll say, this drive aisle here. Ideally, one of the things that I think works to your point is that, yes, if I'm coming out of Rexall, I would potentially come out here and go out to Summerlin if I need to make a left. But I know I've got the access over here if I need to go this way. And if I need to continue to go this way, I've got also, it's more likely that they're going to end up going this way and out, as opposed to kind of, I'll say, looping through. And that's the other thing too, with anyone coming out of the drive-through. We've had our traffic engineer look at it, and it's most likely that they are going to go this way as opposed to kind of go this way. But they can, obviously, they can head out towards and go out to the lights over here. But we, to the point about lighting, about safety, about all of that, completely agree. I mean, we don't. They're one of our recommendations that we've got from our traffic engineer is obviously to ensure that there are stop signs in place, particularly at the entrance to the drive-through or the exit to the drive-through, excuse me, just to add that another moment of, hey, take a look, make sure you know where you're kind of going. And I'll say, we will obviously conform to the standards that staff have. To your point about maintenance, understood. And as you can see, we've got dedicated garbage facilities. This building over here, I'm going to just scroll up for a second. This has a bit more detail. Just going to zoom in. So as you can see, dedicated in garbage over here. We've got Moloch bins, which are effectively big underground bins, so you won't see those. To see the garbage that is, and they're picked up by a special truck. So these are the kind of items that I agree with you, and that's where we're trying to at least include them now, even though we obviously haven't gone through site plan, but just to provide that level of detail.
Yeah, I will say it's a very your site has always been a very well maintained, and that's why I want to preserve this one, because this is one of our nicer plazas. It really is. It's one of the nicer ones in there. It just seems to be like it does cause a little trouble when you're going down that one throughway. You're always kind of making sure to look really hard both ways that no one's going to come in and like sideswipe you. So it's like we look at the disaster across the street with that Tim Hortons, like it's just we don't want to have something else like that happen. And that is, I will say, my only concern about this app. But everything else, like I love the commercial space that you have, that like all those are going to be separate rentable units. Am I correct in that regard?
That's correct. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
so
ultimate
that's
final demising is to be determined, but yes, they're all going to be rentable retail units. Yeah.
Yeah, they're all gonna be rentable retail, which would be really nice as well too. I just like the drive, it's the drive-through that's just jamming me up a little bit. That's it. But that's I'm gonna leave those concerns and that's all I'm gonna say about it.
Perfect.
Appreciate it.
Andrew, I use this plaza quite often. My kid actually went to that daycare, so I applaud the extra parking. I don't know how you're building so quickly in a spot that was a retention pond for years, but I guess that's engineering of the day. And I will say the Rexall, I don't know why Rexall has a drive-through. I think I've seen 2 cars my whole life there. Now, TD and Harvey's, I do see, traffic. So I don't really have any concerns. I say the extra parking when I did have the daycare, especially when there was events at the daycare. So I think that would be great. And to Stephanie's point, I've had X-rays, or my kids have had X-rays, and it could get a little bit jammed. So having some more spaces. There was always a lot of space kind of in the middle part of the parking lot, but people just don't want to walk that far, I guess. So yeah, no, I like the plan, the site. Can I ask, do you have an idea on the retailer or the restaurant or the chain that is looking at that spot? I'm more curious to have an understanding of what kind of traffic we'd be seeing there.
Yeah, no, at this point we don't. And so really we don't have one as of yet. And that's why, as I mentioned earlier, it's kind of planned to be the worst case scenario. The likelihood, there's Starbucks across the street, the McDonald's across the street, and there's Tim Hortons down the way. Those are, I'll say, the big ones, the big users. But I mean, the likelihood, it's never say never,
Okay.
but the likelihood that they're going to go here is
like
pretty slim.
Okay.
If
But
you
it's-
could
it
get
could
us if you could get us a Dairy Queen in that plaza, the entire town of Bradford would love you because everybody's been talking about a Dairy Queen for
Yeah,
years.
well, Dairy Queen has, there is somebody who has the rights to do it. But anyways, that's another story for another day. Yes, I myself would love a Dairy Queen too. I will open up to other committee members. Do we have any other questions for Andrew?
I have one more, sorry.
Sure, go ahead.
Has the town of Bradford and maybe town staff, Yusuf can answer this, has the town of Bradford conducted any of their own independent impact studies on this for traffic mitigation or no?
Hi, Stephanie. I think Yubing Fan, the planner on file, could possibly give you the best answer on this question.
Thank you.
Thank you, through Ms. Chair. So one of the conditions of the approval for this application is, which is required by the town development engineering division. So they did require I believe the formal name is called internal traffic brief. So this internal traffic brief will be required as a part of the site plan approval application. So if I can explain more to make sure everyone understand the procedure of the site plan site plan approval. So the town development engineer will be review the internal traffic brief, and they have to accept the recommendation or any result in this brief before they can finally sign off on the site plan approval. So yes, so we will make sure we have this study with us, but it's not at this moment. Thank you.
And so that study that you guys are going to do doesn't have to go to council though, correct? You guys just have to do that internally as staff.
Zero, Ms. Chair, because it's a technical report, so the town development engineering division will be reviewing it. Also, because it's a part of a site plan approval application, so this type of application do not go to council. And if I remember correctly, at the town of Bradford, West Gwillimbury, the delegated authority to sign off on this site plan approval. So site plan approval and site plan agreement is the manager of planning division, Alan, who's also in this meeting. So yeah, more direct answer is no, this type of application do not go to council. Thank you.
Okay. So then from what I'm understanding is then yes, that town has final approval on the site plan and that if we approve this tonight, basically the applicant and town staff work together to see the fruition of the plan. Okay, that's a little concerning to me because it doesn't allow a lot of like public input. A lot of people don't watch or pay attention to the Committee of Adjustment meetings. And again, I'm just concerned because, as I said, if this wasn't a drive-through, I would have zero issue with it. But anytime that you're engaging people to enter and just drive around in parking lots, it does have impact on the surrounding areas. And I'm just, I appreciate that town staff will get a review of traffic, but it doesn't allow any kind of public input. And if what we do tonight solidifies it as what it's going to be. So I'm just a little concerned about it. All right, I'm going to stop talking now.
Andrew, I'm just going to ask you one last question for me. We always ask this. List of conditions were laid out in the staff report. You reviewed and you're okay with them?
Yeah, no concerns there.
Okay. Sometimes when we have more, I guess, residents applying, they don't look at the list of conditions, but I'm sure this is old hat for you. Okay. I guess we are done then with the questions. I will then open this up for a motion from one of the committee members to approve, deny, or defer this application. Do I have a motion?
Can I ask one question prior?
Sure.
Are we allowed to amend the recommendation so that like are we able to accept one and not accept the other? Or do we have to accept it fully as it is?
You can you can put a motion together to, get rid of something or to add something on the list of conditions.
I'll really jump in, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
I wonder if I could perhaps provide some supplemental information further to Ms. Phan's response earlier. With respect to the component of whether site plan approval could go to council, the delegation to staff actually originates in a change to the Planning Act about 3.5 years ago, where the province required that municipalities who use site plan control have the authority to approve delegated to a municipal employee. So it was beyond the scope of council's authority to preserve authority over site plan control. Delegating to staff was a requirement under a change to the Planning Act about 3.5 years ago. I just thought I'd share that for context and
Yeah, that's good to
in
know.
terms of the direction from the province.
You're on mute, Rick.
I noticed that after about 2 seconds. Thank you. Do I have a motion then on this application? Gavin.
Yeah, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the staff report with the outlying minor variances and with the appendix in one in this report.
So you are putting a motion to approve this
Yes.
application,
Yep.
subject to the list of conditions.
List of conditions in Apex 4.1.
Do I have a seconder for that motion? Fahim, all in favor? I'm just going to vote just because there's nobody. Jonathan's not here. So, okay, Andrew, your motion has been approved for your application.
Really appreciate it this evening, and thanks to everyone. Again, appreciate it.
And I say it's in my neighborhood, so I'm looking forward to hopefully a Dairy Queen, as Stephanie outlined earlier.
Be a lot more fun to work on than the other one, so I'm good with it. I'd love to see that happen.
Thank you very much. Have yourself a good night.
You as well.
Okay.
Take care. Thanks, everyone.
Other business, I'm going to put this to Yusuf or to any committee members. Do we have any other business for tonight's meeting?
Hi, Rick Turner. Hi, Mr. Chair. There is no other additional other business for this meeting.
Okay, and I'm just going to ask then. I'll adjourn the meeting first. Okay, it is 7:06. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? First, Steph, Steck, and Fahim, all in favor? Okay, the meeting has been adjourned at 7:06 p.m. Thank you.